Hi everyone, so the first thing I'm doing as always is priming the eye area. I'm using a liquid primer today because my skin is dry and I've just picked up a little on my brush and I'm sweeping it across the eye area, and this will just ensure that I get a nice light application. I do want my shadows to go onto the lids smoothly and I want them to last all day, so I am going to set the eye area with some powder, but again I'm using a very light hand. Next, I'm taking this deep sandy shade from my sleek Eye Divine Ultra Mattes Volume 2 palette. I adore this palette. I think it's the only eyeshadow palette I've ever used up and repurchased. I'm using that colour as my transition shade, and yes, it is light in appearance and you won't really see it in the finished look, but it's going to help the other shadows that I'm about to apply blend more smoothly. Then I'm going in with the Urban Decay Electric Eyeshadow Palette, a palette that isn't for the faint-hearted. I'm beginning by taking Gonzo on a fluffy blending brush, and I'm starting out by applying this into the crease. As you can see, I'm holding a cotton pad in place to catch any fallout. If you do your base first, you might want to include this step, just because there tends to be a bit of fallout from these shadows. So I'm just sweeping my brush back and forth into the crease to diffuse the shadow. Now, as you can see, I'm patting a small bit more of that shade on the outer corner of the eye. When you pat the shadow onto the eye, the colour appears as a nice vibrant blue, but upon blending you get this nice turquoise hue, and I really like it because it looks like I've applied a couple of shades of blue and it just gives the look more dimension. These shadows are extremely pigmented and it's very easy to apply too much shadow and then you can have a hard time blending it out, and that's why I'm reapplying it in stages. Next, I'm going in with Chaos, which is this electric cobalt blue shade, and I'm beginning by patting this down on the outer third of my eye with the use of my fluffy blending brush. Once I've gotten the majority of my shadow off of my brush and onto the lid, then I'm using whatever is left on my brush to fade out the edges. So I'm starting on the outer corner of the eye and blending up and sweeping across into the crease. And again, like with the previous shade, I'm applying the shadow in layers. I usually always repeat the process 3 times regardless of which eyeshadows I'm using. I apply a little, blend, apply a little, blend, and then I add a bit more for good measure and blend. I'm going for a half cut crease look today, so I'm taking some concealer. This is the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer in the lightest shade Fair. I've dotted a little of this on the inner half of my lid and now I'm blending it out. I like to blend the concealer onto my actual eyelid first and then I work on carving out a new crease, and I just find doing it in a couple of stages makes the process a little easier. This step is going to vary from person to person as our eyes are all shaped differently. I'm just carving out slightly above my own crease, nothing too crazy because my eyes are sort of big anyway. There's a lot of space to play around with. Next, I'm picking up some of the shade Revolt, which is that metallic shimmery shade, and I'm spraying my brush with some of the Urban Decay setting spray to make that pigment pop even more, and then I'm applying it to the lid. So I'm just applying this eyeshadow to the inner half of my lid, over where we added that concealer. Sometimes a flat C-shaped brush isn't precise enough, so I like to switch to a pencil brush and use this to add some of that silver right along the edge. And once I'm happy then with how that looks, I'm going back in with my blending brush and I'm sweeping over the top of that silver just to blend the two shadows lightly together. Regardless of what look I'm creating, I always like to add a little bit of black for depth. So I'm going back to my sleek palette, picking up some of the black on a pencil brush, and I'm applying this to the outer third of the eye, keeping it close in at that lash line. For the lower lash line then, I'm just doing the same as above. So I'm beginning with Gonzo and I'm pressing that all the way along the lower lash line with an angled brush. And once I'm happy with how that looks, then I'm blending out the edges with a small bullet shaped brush. Next then, I'm going in with Chaos again on an angled brush, and I'm working from outer to inner corner, pressing the shadow into the lashes as I go. And again, once I'm happy with how it looks, then I'm smoking out the shadow down along the lower lash line. To line my waterline, I'm using a black pencil. This is just one I'm loving lately, and I'm running this back and forth inside the eye. To set it in place to ensure that it doesn't budge, I'm pressing some of that black eyeshadow on top, and if you didn't tap off the excess, it'll float onto your eyeball like you can see here, but don't panic, when you blink a couple of times it'll go away. To highlight around the teardrop now, I'm using this very well loved icy white eyeshadow from Inglot, and then to finish off the look I'm going to add some of my Sosu lashes in the style Milan, and to blend my own lashes in with those false ones I'm adding a couple of coats of mascara. But then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the look, and if you did, let me know. And now I'm off to eat some cake and I'll see you soon.